Adrian Lamo was born in Boston, Massachusetts in 1981. As a child, he was fascinated by computers and technology, and he taught himself to program at a young age. By the time he was a teenager, Lamo had already developed an impressive set of technical skills and was spending much of his free time exploring the nascent world of computer hacking. At the age of 16, Lamo was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, a form of autism that is often associated with high levels of intelligence and a particular aptitude for technical and analytical thinking. This diagnosis would later play a significant role in Lamo's life as it helped to explain some of his unique behaviors and thought processes. Despite his diagnosis, Lamo's interest in hacking continued to grow, and he soon began to make a name for himself within the underground hacking community. He was known for his ability to breach the security of large corporations and government agencies, often using social engineering techniques to gain access to sensitive information. While Lamo's hacking activities were illegal and often caused significant damage, they also earned him a reputation as one of the most talented hackers of his generation. Over the course of his career, he would go on to hack some of the world's largest companies and government agencies, and his exploits would make headlines around the world. Adrian Lamo's hacking activities were wide-ranging and often targeted some of the world's largest companies and government agencies. One of his most notable hacks was the 2002 breach of the New York Times, in which he gained access to the paper's internal network and added his name to the list of expert sources. Lamo's hack of the Times was particularly audacious, as he was able to move freely throughout the newspaper's system for several weeks without being detected. Lamo's other notable hacking exploits included breaches of Yahoo, Microsoft, and the US Army. In each case, Lamo used a combination of technical skill and social engineering tactics to gain access to sensitive information and systems. His tools and techniques included SQL injection attacks, password cracking software, and phishing emails designed to trick users into giving up their login credentials. Despite his impressive technical abilities, Lamo was not always successful in his hacking attempts. In fact, he was caught and prosecuted several times over the course of his career. Adrian Lamo's hack of the New York Times in 2002 was one of his most high-profile exploits and cemented his reputation as one of the world's most dangerous hackers. Lamo gained access to the Times' internal network by exploiting a flaw in a content management system used by the paper. Once inside, he was able to move freely throughout the newspaper's systems for several weeks without being detected. During his time in the Times network, Lamo added his name to the list of expert sources used by the paper's reporters. He also accessed sensitive databases and read emails sent by Times reporters and editors. At one point, Lamo even informed the Times of a security flaw in its system, which the paper promptly fixed. Eventually, Lamo's hacking activities were discovered, and he was arrested and charged with computer crimes. He eventually pleaded guilty to several charges and was sentenced to 6 months of house arrest, 2 years of probation, and ordered to pay $65,000 in restitution. Adrian Lamo's hacking activities eventually caught up with him, and he was arrested and prosecuted for several high-profile hacks, including the breach of the New York Times. Lamo's arrest was the culmination of a years-long investigation by the FBI, which had been tracking his activities for some time. After his arrest, Lamo was charged with several counts of computer crimes, including wire fraud and unauthorized access to a computer. He initially pleaded not guilty to the charges, but eventually agreed to a plea bargain in which he pleaded guilty to several lesser charges in exchange for a reduced sentence. Lamo's plea deal included 6 months of house arrest, 2 years of probation, and a fine of $64,900. He was also ordered to perform community service and was banned from using computers or the internet without prior approval from his probation officer. Despite his reduced sentence, Lamo's arrest and prosecution were a significant blow to his reputation and career. He was forced to give up his career as a professional hacker and turn to other pursuits, including writing and speaking about cybersecurity and mental health issues. In the years following his arrest, Lamo struggled with substance abuse and other personal issues. He passed away in 2018 at the age of 37, leaving behind a complicated legacy as one of the world's most notorious and controversial hackers. Adrian Lamo's decision to turn in Chelsea Manning, then known as Bradley Manning, to the authorities was one of the most controversial events of his life. Manning, a former US Army intelligence analyst, had leaked classified documents to WikiLeaks, which had published them on its website. Lamo, who had corresponded with Manning online, reported him to the authorities after becoming concerned about the sensitive nature of the information he had leaked. Lamo's decision to turn in Manning was widely criticized by members of the hacking community, who viewed it as a betrayal of the principles of free speech and whistleblowing. Many argue that Manning was acting in the public interest by exposing government wrongdoing, and that Lamo's actions were motivated by a desire to curry favor with the authorities. However, Lamo defended his decision, arguing that Manning's leaks had put national security at risk and that he had a moral obligation to report him. He also pointed out that Manning had confided in him and that he had a duty to protect the confidentiality of their conversations. Adrian Lamo's struggles with mental health and addiction were a significant part of his life. He was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome at a young age, which affected his ability to socialize and communicate with others. As a result, he often turned to the internet and online communities as a way to connect with people. Lamo's struggles with addiction were also well documented. He battled substance abuse throughout much of his adult life and spoke openly about his struggles with drugs and alcohol. At one point, he even admitted to stealing painkillers from a friend's medicine cabinet to feed his addiction. Despite his challenges, Lamo was able to achieve a great deal in his life. He became one of the most skilled hackers of his generation, and his exploits earned him a reputation as a dangerous and unpredictable figure. He was also an advocate for better mental health care, often speaking publicly about the need to provide better support and resources for people struggling with mental health issues. Tragically, Lamo's struggles with addiction and mental health ultimately contribute to his untimely death in 2018. His passing was widely mourned by the tech community, and many praised him for his contributions to the field of cybersecurity and his advocacy for better mental health care. In addition to his technical skills, Lamo was also a pioneer in the field of computer security, helping to lay the groundwork for modern cybersecurity practices. His work in identifying and exploiting vulnerabilities in computer systems helped to raise awareness about the need for better security protocols and helped to establish ethical hacking as a legitimate profession. Adrian Lamo's personal life was complex and often impacted by his activities as a hacker. He was known to be a private person, with few close friends or family members. Lamo's Asperger syndrome diagnosis also affected his ability to socialize and communicate with others, and he often turned to online communities and chat rooms to connect with like-minded individuals. Lamo's hacking activities also had an impact on those around him, both positively and negatively. His exploits as a hacker earned him a reputation as a dangerous and unpredictable figure, and many of his relationships were strained by his activities. However, Lamo's work as a cybersecurity consultant and advocate for better mental health care helped to establish his reputation as a skilled and respected member of the tech community. Adrian Lamo's legacy continued to be remembered and commemorated by the hacking community and the broader tech industry. Despite the controversy that surrounded his life and career, Lamo was widely regarded as a skilled and respected member of the tech community with a unique perspective on the role of technology in society. Following his death in 2018, Lamo was the subject of numerous obituaries and tributes from individuals and organizations within the tech industry. Many of these tributes focused on Lamo's contributions to the field of cybersecurity and his advocacy for better mental health care. In addition to these tributes, Lamo has been commemorated in other ways by the hacking community. Some members of the community have created memorials and other online tributes in his honor, highlighting his achievements as a hacker and his legacy as a complex and multifaceted individual. Lamo's legacy has also been the subject of academic and scholarly study, with researchers and experts in the fields of cybersecurity, technology, and mental health examining his contributions to these fields and the impact of his life and work on the broader tech community.